Hello everyone! For today's Karista Live, our guest expert Joseph T-Giorgis will be joining us. He is a residential property manager and he will provide us with information on what rental and property management will look like in 2023. He will also be sharing the rental market highlights from 2022. So make sure you enjoy the show and we hope you learn a lot today. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Hi. Hello, Mary Ann. Thank you for joining us today. We already have our first greeting. We are very excited for our first Karista Live for 2023. Of course, joining me today are your favorite mortgage strategy managers. Hi, Sheila.
Hi everyone, good afternoon po. Maraming salamat for joining us today.
Rachel.
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2023. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Carol.
Hi! Mabuhay, and maligayang bagong taon. Thank you for joining us today.
Ricardo Winter Lexus, hello. Thank you for joining us today. To all of you who are out there, feel free to say hi in the comments box. We're going to acknowledge you, of course. We're so excited to see you here.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. So whether you own an investment property or not, this is here. You're here for a reason. We have a lot of exciting content to share with you today. And one of the things that we're going to share is the market from last year. I'll give a recap of that crazy market. And then we'll also share some predictions for 2023, as well as the new legislation that just came up this year.
Yes, you are correct, Rachel. This is going to be an exciting, and that's why I'm going to encourage you guys to type your questions down below in the comment section. Don't worry, you don't have to type it in English. You can type it in Tagalog, and we will translate it for you.
At hindi na namin papatagalin. So, without further ado, we will introduce to you our guest speaker for today.
Joseph is a residential property manager and provides property management services in the Lower Mainland, the Fraser Valley, and Kamloops. He offers expert and worry-free rental management services and has an in-depth knowledge of the rental market. He is also currently a realtor with Jovi Realty. He has also been a realtor for the last 16 years and has received prestigious awards from the real estate industry. Please help me welcome Joseph T-Giorgis.
Hi, Joseph. How are you?
Good. And you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you here. And we're just going to get right into it, Joseph. So I have one question for you. What was the average rent for properties in Metro Vancouver last year?
Metro Vancouver last year, depending on the area, the type of property that you're looking at, Burnaby for one bedrooms, it was between 23 to 2400. For two bedrooms, between 31 and 3200. Richmond for one bedrooms in the 2100 to 2200. And in Surrey, one bedrooms, um, 18 to 1900. I am seeing closer to the SkyTrain currently going around $2,000 in Surrey as well. Two bedrooms, 23 to 2400. These are apartments. And of course, in Vancouver, it's a bit higher for one bedrooms, 24 to 2500. And the two bedrooms in Vancouver between 34 and 3500. The year before it was even around 3700, but there is a little bit of adjustment in the two bedrooms in downtown Vancouver. Obviously, North Vancouver has one bedrooms and 2400, 2500 area, and then two bedrooms between 2200, sorry, 3200, 300 in North Vancouver. Three-bedroom apartments are very hard to, because builders are not building them for economic reasons. Instead of building a three-bedroom, they would prefer to build a two-bedroom and then a one-bedroom or a bachelor suite, and they can, on the sale price, they can make a much higher profit. So three bedrooms are very hard to find. And if you are able to find three bedrooms, Burnaby, Richmond, Vancouver area, they are 4,100, 4,300. In the Richmond area, plus 500 from two bedrooms, which is around 3,800, 3,700 price range. So this is what the price or the rent looks like in the Lower Mainland.
Wow, crazy. Hey, thank you for letting us know about that one. I love the fact that you show those numbers and it's not really like too far in paying your own mortgage with that. So my next question would be is, would you be able to give us an idea of what the average rent look like by listing type and by municipality or city?
So again, as I said,
Sorry,
Vancouver,
Joseph, before you say that,
Vancouver.
can you, Joseph, sorry to disturb you. Could you see the
Yes,
slide right now? Yeah? Could you see the, is
yes, I
it
can see
showing on your
the
screen?
slide. Yes,
Awesome.
yeah,
Thank you.
Mm.
yes, it is showing. Yeah. So again, as I said, Burnaby, Coquitlam, uh, more so Vancouver, North Vancouver, Vancouver, the West End, or downtown Vancouver. Those are ones that are really highly priced uh, and in high demand as well. Uh, Followed by Burnaby and the New Westminster. West Vancouver is the highest rent getting a location. So for Burnaby, the average one bedroom would be, as I said earlier, between 23 and 2400. For Richmond, 21 to 2200. This is for the one bedroom. Surrey, 18 to 19, but I'm seeing we're now two bedrooms. Vancouver, 24, 20. Again, this also changes depending on the amenity the properties provide. Swimming pool, gym, um, and other amenities that are provided, stores, uh, number of parking stalls, and all that will add up with the price. Um, Again, the closer you are to a SkyTrain or a transit, the walk score is high, then you pay more as well.
Oh, wow. The most affordable rent right now is in Surrey area. That's really great to know for all
Yeah.
our renters out there, no? So, Joseph, I have a question for you. Were there a lot of active listings in 2022?
Before you answer that, Joseph, sorry, Mary Ann here says, hello, Joseph. It's nice doing business with you. That's so nice.
Oh, thank you, Marianne. Thank you. Yeah, there were a lot of listings. Even even now, we can see a lot of listings, but unfortunately, the demand is much higher than the listings, unless there is an issue with the property. Uh, Properties are renting, almost instantly at this point. But again, each um, tenant has their own preferences and their own reasons why they would pick one property over the other. Location being the most important uh, for so many. For families, they would like to be a school close by, transit accessibility, and things like that. So otherwise, we see 30, 40%, even 80% for apartments listings available, but then uh, for one listing, usually you will get 4 applicants uh, in the first showing itself. So the demand outstrips the supply still.
Wow.
Is that all over the lower mainland, Joseph? The demand outstrips supply, that the 3 to 4
It's all
people.
the lower mainland. Yes, it's all over the lower mainland.
Sorry, Rachel. Before you ask your next question, Joseph, what I heard you say something about a walk score. Can you expand more on that? Because I'm pretty sure some of our viewers like, what? So, what does walk score mean, and why is that important?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. The box score is to define how accessible are restaurants, schools, um, all the amenities that you need for your day-to-day life. You can walk to your doctor's office. You can walk to restaurants, coffee shops, and stores easily without driving. The walk score gets higher. But if you rely on driving or taking transit to get, your groceries and to go to school, that will reduce the walk score. So that's how they they measure the walk score for properties or locations as
Okay.
well.
Perfect.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that, Joseph. I think it's interesting. I appreciate how you mentioned location is important. So, in the areas that you managed, can you name the top 2 or 3 municipalities or cities that had the lowest vacancy rate this quarter or this last quarter?
Well, I can say across the board throughout the lower mainland, the vacancy rate is around 1% at this time. So if the property is well kept uh, and the location is desirable, there is no reason why those properties would not rent, and they will rent for a much higher price than what they used to get in 2021, 2020, or prior to that. Right now, um, we have seen uh, tenants moving out from one of our clients' townhouse in Fleetwood. It was rented 2,300 for 3 years. Now it is rented for 3,000.
Wow!
That's a $700 jump. Yeah.
Thank goodness they left.
Thank goodness. Yeah. Well, it's good for them because they bought their own place. So it was a win-win situation. Tenants bought their own place and they moved out, and the landlords were able to get that price increase without having to ask anyone to give them that increase. So, yeah. So, I mean, again, what affects all this price increase is interest rates have gone up. Investors, when they buy, uh, they have to account that interest rate increase because it is a business for them.
Mm-hmm.
What they spend and what they make has to make sense. And for that reason, uh, rent prices have gone up so much, more than the interest rate, I would say, in some instances. And then again, uh, I'm just veering to another area outside of the question. Um, Home prices are coming down as interest rates are going up. So again, that's a good thing for the investor because now they can use those numbers to make that educated decision.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very good to know.
Before you ask your question, Carol, we have a comment here from Alex. Alex said, "Hi, Bernadette. FYI, we transferred to Joseph to manage our property. Thank you for the recommendation." So there you go, Joseph. If you recall, I
Thank you.
introduced them to you. They're facing challenges with their
Yes.
previous property management, and Joseph, you took wonderful care for them. So all of you who are watching right now, Joseph has been managing my rental properties and our investors' rental properties for more than 10 years. He's our go to guy, great partner. His heart is so big. He sees this more than a business. I think he sees all his people as family. He just goes out of his way. And every time I call him, there's no question that's stupid with Joseph. There's no concern that's immaterial. He's just really there with you. So thank you so much, Joseph, for that. And huge testament from the
Thank
people
you.
who are
Thank you.
watching who are your fans. So thanks, Joseph. Carol.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, for that and for taking care of our clients. And at the same time, I like that you mentioned a while ago that the vacancy rate is still like 1%. Like there's no changes with it. I like it. And then the second one you mentioned that from 2,300 it goes up to how much? Does it increase?
27.
$3,700 more.
2,300 to
700,
3,000. Yeah.
right? And I'm
700.
happy for those family who move out from there and then bought their own property. Just like what you mentioned a while ago, the vacancy rate and at the same time the average rent right now is not really too far away from paying your own mortgage. So thank you for mentioning about that one. So my next question would be is, has the average tenant turnover rate in 2022 increased or decreased? And in your opinion, what will be the trend this 2023? But before you answer that, can you explain or give us more details about the what tenant turnover rate means first?
Okay. Well, the turnover rate, I would say it stayed stable because due to COVID, a lot of people were not moving. And of course, eviction was not also allowed
So
during that.
Joseph, sorry, tenant turnover rate means
Oh,
how often they move. Is
they
that what it
move.
means?
Yeah. Yeah. It's how often they move for different reasons. It could be end of lease. It could
Mm.
be um, getting transferred to another area or another province, another country. So that creates a tenant turnover. But from what we see, most tenants are staying put because um, if there is no major change in their day-to-day life, and if if they are not in a position to afford to buy for themselves something that will accommodate their needs, then they will stay put in one place. So that decreases the tenant
Mm-hmm.
turnover. So I didn't see that much tenant turnover. Um, most tenants are staying wherever they are, unless with uh, for a bigger place, downsizing, that could be a reason for. I see it as stable situation for tenants to stay in one place. It didn't affect the turnover that much. Of course, uh, you know, again, it depends on the tenants and the owners of the property. The owners of the property could decide to move into the property. That could create again the tenants to move to another location. So we will be able to get those tenants. That creates a movement, uh, and otherwise, I would say I didn't see that much turnover with tenants.
That's really, yeah. It's really good to know that tenants are staying right now. That's why properties are in demand here in Lower Mainland. So given that there are 350,000 immigrants that's coming in, so hey investors, where are they going to, to reside? So that comes with my next question to you, Joseph. In your experience last year, what were the most challenging tenancy issues that you experienced? At least can you please give us two or three examples?
Really, there isn't a big challenge that I can pinpoint at this time. Once in a while, a tenant or two maybe um losing their jobs and delaying rent payment. Uh, otherwise, actually, after everything is lifted from the pandemic, people are, you know, for the most part, I would say 99.9%, they pay their rent on time. And we had some issues with the flood that happened in Abbotsford and Chilliwack with some of the properties, but that's beyond anybody's control. Uh, otherwise, everything was, I would say, as I expected it to be.
Oh, well, that is very challenging for, those clients or those tenants that have lost their jobs. And
Yeah.
my heart goes out to them. But it's a really good thing our clients do have you to help them with those challenges. So we're very, very grateful for your services, Joseph. And with that
Thank you.
said, how is property management different from the previous year?
Uh, Again, there are some rules coming down from the provincial government in regards to tenancy. So we strictly follow those rules. Some of the rules, I would say most of the rules that came down were favorable to both tenants and landlords, um, even though, uh, you know, it may not meet our expectations. Um, in 2022, rent increase was only 1.5%, which really didn't amount to nothing compared to the inflation that we see. In 2023, it is 2%. It is better, but still lags behind when we see how much inflation has gone up. Um, so in that sense, it's different because for some landlords, interest rates have gone up. and the payment has gone up, then
Mhm.
they're not able to make that increase beyond the 2%. But again, those who bought earlier, they can still manage to do this, um, and hopefully down the road, you know, uh, the, the rent increase will be increased again by the government to catch up with inflation. So hopefully that will ease off some of the burden from the investors. But most of the investors that we have bought a while ago when prices were low, uh, even though they are paying slightly higher, but the equity value they have on the has gone up significantly. So, this is a temporary glitch, I would say, for them to face. And from the conversation I had with some of our clients, they say that they are prepared for this, and they are in a good position. So, which is a good thing. And some of them are actually planning to buy because prices have come down, even though interest rates have gone up, and then rent has gone up. So the rent going up and then prices coming down create opportunity for them to um, get into getting additional investment properties. And from my experience, uh, people who bought in 2008 when the financial crisis happened in the US are today are laughing because a lot of
Yes.
people decided not to buy. So if you can see opportunities when there are problems, then you are set to succeed. So, but a lot of times people will focus on the problems, but not on the opportunities. So I would say opportunities are coming. Uh, it's a good time to look to invest and see what the listings are and how much they have come down with price. I was talking to one realtor. He told me he's going to be listing property that best value is 1.67, but he's going to list it to 1.4. So most likely it will go in one day. And so there are these kind of opportunities. You just have to keep an eye on them. And
Yeah, I
again, they
love the
say
fact that
real estate, yeah, real estate is a numbers game. So if you can do the numbers, then you'll get the answer.
Yeah, I love the fact that you mentioned about the problems and the opportunities. So, the way that you explained a while ago, with if I'm gonna ratio it out, the challenge or the problems that they're facing right now is the interest rate. But you also mentioned that the rent fee is also increasing, and also the value of their property. So, if you ratio out, the problem is interest rate, but the two opportunity there is the increase in the ten in the fee rental fee and the value of your property. So that's very good to also to know and be aware of that challenge that they have in mind, but actually it's an opportunity. So thank you for letting us know about that, Joseph. And at the same time, with the you gave us an idea already about what's the average look like. So I'm gonna give you another question: that do you think rental prices will go up or down this 2023?
I think rent prices will go up. The reason why I'm saying that is the supply and the demand are not balanced. There is no supply out there with a lot of people immigrating abroad or interprovincial migration. The demand is high. And the builders are not building as fast. And I talked to a couple of builders, you know, small time builders. They have bought lots to build townhouses, a few townhouses. They said, no, we're not going to build now because the market is slow. So we'll just wait until the market changes. So that means the supply is halted. The builders are not building, and the solution is to build more, but that solution is not being implemented anywhere from what we see. So I would say rent will increase again in 2023.
Yeah. It's really good to know also that you mentioned this, Joseph, that there's a really, really high demand
Yes.
properties right now, and supply is really low. So, for those people out there who are plan to investing, the next question that I'm going to ask you, Joseph, is that why do you think there are still lot of people investing in rental properties, even though the interest rates have been volatile?
Yeah. Uh, if investing is in your blood, or if you are experienced, or if you are educated by someone who knows the value of real estate investing, uh, then this is the time to buy when prices have softened or come down significantly. Um, so, and then the the upside is the rent has gone up, the demand is high, the supply is low. Then when you do the numbers, it really makes sense for you to go into real estate and invest. And it has been proven again, uh, real estate is the most uh, secure investment. So, in stock markets, your investments could be wiped out, and in other investments, you could lose everything. But in real estate, the way you see how the rent values have gone up, and wait a few years, and you should harvest your investment. One of my properties I paid 18 years ago $435,000. Um, right now it's about 2 million. So
Woo!
18 years, if you can make that kind of money, uh, then it's worth. At the time, people said I'm crazy uh, when I
Who's
made that
laughing
investment.
now?
Yeah, so it's it is a very safe investment. It has been a proven uh, investment area that people are very comfortable investing. So
Yeah, Mary Ann said that is true. She doesn't see much rental property available. It is a
no,
challenge.
Yeah, that was a challenge for me also. I'm planning to move out and I can't find any rent. So I decided to just buy another property. Okay, so thank you for that information. That's a very big information, Joseph. They mentioned with the demand and the supply, and the builders are really not really, you're not really into like building property right now because also they see that inflation also is that's the big impact also for them. And so right now, guys, I'm gonna switch from English to Tagalog. I'm gonna invite you with those information na sinabi ni Joseph. You're aware of that now. And I'm going to invite you to our upcoming real estate investor webinar. Mangyayari po ito sa January 26. So save the date, magpa-off na kayo. Thursday, 6:30 ng hapon, ng gabi hanggang 8:30 p.m. po. We also have our guest panelists, sila Ate Maria at saka si Kuya Ronaldo. I-share nila doon yung kanilang journey of owning their three properties na po dito sa Canada. So I hope you'll register it. The link is in the comment box there, so you can click that one. And the next would be so with that, what are the top predictions for property values this 2023, Joseph?
Property values, I think in 2023 we can still see some price correction, depending on the area. Um, but it all depends also how far the interest rate increases will go up, uh, or stay the same. Uh, so if there is stability, in the interest rate fluctuation, maybe values will stabilize. But otherwise, I think I can. This is my opinion. I'm not an expert in predicting values of real estate. I would say it may stay the same or slightly dip in some areas. Slight correction and adjustment in some areas.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Joseph. That was a really good question, Carol. And
Sorry,
speaking
I'm
of,
going to interrupt you there, Rachel. We have a question here from Elizabeth. So we'll honor Elizabeth's question first before Rachel's question. What is the supply demand rate in Fraser Valley, particularly Chilliwack, Abbotsford areas? I believe it's the opposite of Lower Mainland. Joseph.
Yeah, again, it depends in what area in Chilliwack. Um, if you are in the Sardis area, in the Promontory area, you can rent your property in a day. If you are in the uh, Fairfield area, you can rent your property in a day. If you are close to downtown Chilliwack, where there is a huge homeless population, I would say Chilliwack has the highest homeless population, even than Vancouver. Uh, then you will be affected in renting your property. There is an area uh, where people will not be willing to touch, and it's very hard. The only people who will move and live there are people who doesn't know the area. If they are coming from Saskatchewan, Alberta, they don't know the area, then they can move in. So it depends on the area. So the closer you are to the downtown area, to the homeless shelter area, the harder it would be to rent.
So that is why it's important to have a good realtor again, because you
Yes.
can't, based on what hearing about what Joseph has said, you can't just generalize the city. Elizabeth, I hope that's what you're hearing. Just because it's Chilliwack, Abbotsford doesn't mean it's across the board Chilliwack, Abbotsford. There are pockets. I'm hearing that Joseph is saying that people are not willing to touch. But if you're not familiar with the area, you're like, woohoo, Vancouver, East Vancouver, yay. Or woohoo, Chilliwack, Abbotsford, cheap, and all of that. So at least if you are speaking with somebody who's an expert, then they can steer you in the right direction or the right city. I think that's what I heard you say, right, Joseph?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And also, right now, if someone goes on TNP website and an area, what the crime rate is, some people they tell me, oh, we did search on the RCMP site, and the crime rate for this area is too high, so we're not going. Uh, Sometimes it happens even for Surrey. Uh, I mean, we hear this sporadic news about some crimes being committed here and there, but it's not the whole city, and it doesn't have any specific area. But that news is there. And what a surprising thing is, one client, she asked me, "Where do you live?" I told her I live in Surrey, and she said, "Wow, you're a nice guy. Why do you live in Surrey?"
Oh my
So,
God.
so the information she got is
Uh-huh.
probably terrible, and but she didn't know much. So um, again, going back to the top, the location, the area matter very much for so many people.
Okay.
And in the wrong areas, what you will attract is the wrong people also, and which you don't want to have, which exasperates the problem again.
Mhm. Mm. Thank you, Joseph. So, with that, what is the new legislation that took effect recently?
Um, there is a ban on foreign homes. Uh, um, we think it will make any difference in the supply and demand. It's just pleasing to hear it for some people, but I don't think
Yeah.
it will make a dent. And most of these foreign investors or foreign buyers, they are still allowed to buy a property more than 3 units. So they have to have money to come from overseas and buy here. So they can buy an entire apartment block. They are allowed to do that. They can register their company here and they can buy under their company. So that's what it is. The other law is the anti-flipping tax. The anti-flipping tax, people will buy pre-sale and then
Mhm.
they sell it right away once they get possession of that. Now the government doesn't allow that. They are saying you have to own it for 365 days consecutively, and then you can sell it. That means you have to own it for 1 year, which will force you to live in it out. And so that could get some supply for the rental market. But again, for those who were planning to flip, and most people, unfortunately, they were not claiming when they flip the pre-sale on their taxes. So the government wanted to control that, and so that's one of the rules. Um, the next uh, change that I saw is the rental restriction bylaw removal. You will buy a property, and for some reason, when you bought them, you thought you're going to be there, rental restriction, and now you you are offered a really nice job, and you're moving to storage, and you can't rent your place. Rental supply shortage, but because of that strata bylaw, you are tied up. You have to sell your property because there is a rental restriction. No investor will buy your property. That means the value of your property will go down compared to cities that doesn't have a rental restriction. But now that is gone. I am so happy for that because uh, allows investors or homeowners to be free and manage their own finances by renting, selling, letting their friends live there, whatever they want to do. So it was long overdue. It's gone, which would be really good. The other one is the age restriction. So some stratas will say, we don't want small kids, so let's make the age restriction 19 plus. Then another one will say, well, let's make it 35 plus. We don't want young people. They pay too much. And then the other one will say, well, we want it for seniors, let's make 55 plus. That makes um, so now the government said, okay, 55 plus, we will allow you but any age restriction below 1935 out. So that is a good change as well, because if you are a parent with a 2-year-old child who want to purchase this property for the location, the size, price, and everything, you can't buy if it is a 19-year-old or plus. And, you know, you have to wait another 17 years to buy that property, which doesn't make sense. So now that's gone, which is really good. The other one that came in this year is the new home buyer protection period. If you remember, not too long ago, there were multiple cash offers. People will offer over 100,000 to 300,000 over the asking price, no conditions, and then those legitimate buyers uh, who thought this property was within their price range, they will come and offer, and they won't get it because they have conditions. They have to have subject to financing, subject to an inspection, or all of that. They say don't do an inspection. The financing is beyond their control. The banks are the ones lending them the money, so the banks have to send an appraiser to see the place. How could they say no to that? And now, to make the playing field even, the government brought this new home buyers protection period, which is 3 days. In 3 days, the person who even offered and gave a deposit, within 3 days, they can say, no, we're not interested in this property anyway. So when the sellers accept these offers, they would know that this person may not proceed with the purchase. Let's say there is a penalty that the person who makes an offer and walkway has to pay. If the property was priced at $1 million, then there is $1,500 to be paid to the seller. A lot of people want $2,500 when they are not going to proceed with the purchase, and they will, I can use for some of the conditions and offer accordingly, and compete if there are multiple other buyers. So that creates some sort of, protection for the buyers, so that they don't have to, blindly throw their money out and everything. So that's also a good change.
Awesome. So that those are great changes. There's a couple of changes that were like meh, but there's a couple that are impactful. And Mary Ann has a question now. What about the number of occupants on a rental property? Does strata have restrictions?
Yes, they do have restrictions on that. By the way, the bylaws, most of them, they will stay as they are until rectified by the owners of the strata corporation. But there are a few rules and bylaws that will still stay until changes are made. But specifically, I'm not aware of any interference by the government with the changes to limit or increase the number of occupants in a unit.
That is a good question. I remember I had a client like whenever if you guys are buying a property, whether it's a rental or owner occupied, it's very important for you to be familiar with the maximum number of people allowed. I had a situation where a client bought a property, but the realtor wasn't as thorough. Some realtors are not like you, Joseph, who reads everything, the bylaws. As a realtor, it's your responsibility to know the product, the bylaws, the minutes, and what have you. Some realtors don't bother doing that. They're like, "Oh, buyer beware, you should know that." But there was in this particular case, the client relied on the realtor, so they bought the property. But there's five of there's six of them, but there's a maximum number of people, which is five. So after they moved in, they had to move out within the month. They could not live there. So but of course they couldn't sell because there was 5% down. They had to pay CMHC fee and what have you. So they had to rent the property out, and then buy and then rent somewhere. It's crazy. So that is a very good question to be aware of the bylaw, where you are buying everyone. So don't just take that, don't take that loosely. Be serious about it. Know the bylaws where you're buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard on on some group conversation, some stratas now they want to have, they had a 19-year-old and 35-year-old age restriction. The only thing is allowed is 55 plus. Now some of them are trying to change the bylaws to 55 plus, and the advice people are posting online is don't do that because it will affect the value of your property. Some stratas they want to change it to from 35 to 55 plus, or from 19. Of course, it has to get an overwhelming vote from the owners there. But the owners have to be educated not to fall into this trap and agree to increase the age limit for the residents because that will affect the value of your property.
That was my
Um,
next question. So if you
yeah,
changed it to a 55 plus, could it really affect the property down
yes, it does.
value? Oh, why is that, Joseph? Can you
Because
expand on that?
because you will be attracting only people who are
Yeah.
55 or plus.
You're
The rest
limiting the
of
marketability of the property, basically, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, we had a situation like that. So, wow. Okay. I think we've asked all our questions. Now, all of you who are watching, wouldn't you agree that today we provided so much value? Joseph, such an expert. That's like over 16 years of property management and real estate experience. So, please, all of you are watching, follow us on social media. We are committed to providing you with high value information that's going to inspire you, that's going to inform you, that's going to make a difference in your life. We want to make sure that everything we post, everything we share is going to make a difference. So that is our commitment to you. We have a very high standard of what's high value. And speaking of high value, I took a lot of notes, so yeah, pages and pages of notes here. And so I like to ask your favorite mortgage strategy managers, what are their key takeaways from today? Carol.
Like you mentioned, be a lot pages. But what really strikes me the most, there's like three. So first is the government support. Like they remove the rental restrictions and the age restrictions. That's like a lot. That's a big help for like first time home buyer and then for those investors that we have. The fact that the government so this challenge that with the rental shortage, right? The property that being rent out, there's a shortage there. I think it's a wake up call for everyone that it's better for you to own a property than renting out because Joseph was mentioned it a while ago. The three-bedroom townhouse right now, the rental fee is 3,500 to 3,999. That's the amount of how much you can rent out the 3 bedrooms. I just want to say that one of my property in Westminster, the mortgage that I'm paying there right now is 4,039, and you're just going to rent right now 3,999. So there's like no difference at all there. And the other thing that I'm really um happy about is the tenant turnover, Joseph. You mentioned that it's still low and the needs of the tenants are still the same, basically. And it's staying in their current property is still an option for them because of the inflation, right? And at the same time, the increase on the rental fee that if your contract there is still like amounting 2,300, and then if you move out, if your rental fee is gonna increase basically. So there you go. That's what strikes me the most. So thank you, Joseph. That's a lot.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Sheila.
Wow. So yes, Carol, thank you for that. Joseph, for me, my biggest takeaway is that I will quote you on this. Real estate is still the game. If you have an opportunity to purchase, purchase because it is a good time to invest. Keep an eye on this property because there's a scarcity. So for me as an investor and as a mortgage strategy manager, it's really important to know these things coming from you, an expert, because this help our clients, this help these people who's watching us right now to make a sound judgment if it's really a good thing to buy or not. And for all of you, building wealth is really, really easy when you do the real estate, when you came in and jump in on real estate. Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. Rachel.
Okay, Joseph, my biggest takeaway was I really liked when you said the experience of your clients when they bought their properties for low. And now that the interest rate has increased, they're not as affected because they know that it's temporary. The interest rate is temporary, the payment is temporary, but the rent is increasing, the property values are increasing, and that is, permanent or sticky at the top. And so I think it goes in line with what you're saying. There is a lot of opportunity in the problems, and a lot of these investors, they're seeing these opportunities to buy more properties, even though there are high interest rates. And I think it's a good message for everyone out there watching right now who's scared of the interest rate. Don't just look at the small temporary problem. It's not permanent, it's not here to stay. It's an opportunity for you to build wealth for your family.
Thank you, Rachel. And before I share mine, Mary Ann said, thank you so much for doing this, Karista and Joseph. You're very welcome. We enjoy it. Ricardo, thank you, Joseph and Karista Mortgage. You're very welcome. So here's my key takeaway, the turnover rate. So the turnover rate, you can look at that in a couple of ways. So it's a good thing that it's low, or it's a bad thing because you want them to move. So, to all of you who are new investors, what I want you to hear is this: if the turnover rate is very low, because a lot of you, especially the new ones, your fear is, oh my God, I'm not going to find a tenant. Joseph said vacancy rate is very low, it's like 1%, meaning the odds of your property being vacant, if there's 100 properties, only one is going to be vacant, not very long. So, there you go. He provided you with certainty that's not going to be a challenge. And the turnover rate, the other thing is, what if I do find a tenant, they move out? Well, they're hardly move out. And if they do, celebrate, because hey, from 2,300 to 3,000, that's a very good thing. So do not mourn about those things. So I hope that provided you with so much certainty. The second thing that Joseph said was, Joseph, how many properties do you manage right now? The last time was, you said 200. How many now?
Yeah, I think around 280 right now.
Okay,
280, 260.
200.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, around there, 260, 280. And he said, I hope you heard him say 99.5% of them pay on time. So if you're worried that, oh my gosh, if I'm a tenant, maybe they won't pay me on time. Well, there you go. 99.5% of those people that Joseph managed pay on time. So again, your fears are unfounded. Next thing he said is, if investing, why are people buying now in spite of the high rates? He said, if investing is in your blood, or if it's not, if you are educated, then it is a great time to buy. Hence the our for our real estate investing webinar para sa mga Pilipino that we are so passionate about, because it's important to be highly educated. The next thing is, he said, if you buy in the wrong area, you will attract the wrong people. And so, in order for you to shield yourself from that, make sure you work with experts who will guide you in the right area. And then he also said that the nicest legislation is these rental restriction bylaw removal. So a lot of the removing the rental restriction on a lot of properties, a lot of our clients, when they bought, couldn't rent out their property. But with that happening, I think, like what Joseph has said, it's opened a lot of doors for a lot of people, help a bit about the supply that we are really challenged about in many areas, especially if you recall the 1% vacancy rate. So those were my key takeaways that I appreciate from you, Joseph. I love the fact that after working with you for so long, I always learn from you. I love how you think. You're very strategic. It's not just fluff with you. Everything has substance. It's solid. So I appreciate that. So if you guys want Joseph to manage your property, I don't know why you wouldn't. Here is his contact information. As I said, my properties, Joseph is managing that very, very well. I have no challenges, and our investors as well. So if you have any questions, there you go. And before I close, Sheila.
Guys, so sa sinabi lahat ng ating speaker, sorry Joseph, I'll speak in Tagalog because I'm
No problem.
going to invite everyone who's watching right now. Invite your friends, family, co-worker. Meron po tayong Pinoy free Tagalog webinar on January 26. It's a Thursday, 6:30 to 8:30 ng gabi. Sasabayan namin kayong mag-dinner. Sasabayan po namin kayong matuto, kaya sabay-sabay din tayong mabusog ng kaalaman at matutong bumili ng inyong mga property, pangalawa, pangatlo, at maging ganap na landlord dito sa Canada. Maraming salamat!
There you go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the day. Joseph, keep up the great work for us and our people. We appreciate
Thank you.
you. Bye,
Thank you so
everyone.
much. See you.